Cameron Gray, John Pop with Julie Gunlock. The great Julie Gunlock in studio. We
I don't know how we got her. The woman is so busy. She's so packed. Her schedule.
My private jet is waiting.
It's unbelievable that she's sitting in this studio with us. Thank you, Julie.
Once again, Cameron, we've conspired to steal a guest from Cam.
Yes.
While we're filling in for Cam today. So.
But it is Tuesday. It's usually Julie's day. So.
Yeah.
But her schedule is amazing. So thank you for blessing us.
Ridiculous.
Mrs. Gunlock.
You're ridiculous.
Thank you for slowing down enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Jumping off the merry-go-round and landing in our studio.
There's a parking spot out front. I was so thrilled. It says a lot about me. I'm so excited.
I go across the street to the casino with that kind of luck.
Let's go. So, I know where we all want to start.
All right, can we just start with saying this?
Go ahead.
There's a first of all, is James Corden in everything? Can we just start with that? Every time I turn around, James Corden's involved in something. I don't know how we got this guy, but he's in everything.
I agree.
And I saw this promo for this movie, and James Corden as the bunny.
Yeah,
okay, whatever.
Also, my kids would never know who he is. It's
I don't know
weird.
who he is.
It's weird.
Not care,
I don't get it either.
So there's an animated movie about a bunny who talks.
It's called Peter Rabbit. It's kind of a famous bunny. It's not just a bunny. It's like the bunny.
It's not Joe the bunny. It's Peter
it's
Rabbit.
like the bunny.
It's animated. It's about animals who talk. None of it is realistic. But there are parents who are upset who are boycotting and are talking about this on social media.
Boycotting.
Because apparently in the movie, Alex.
Do you want me to tell you the scene?
Alex the rabbit has a food allergy.
No, that's not true. No, you're getting it wrong. I will explain it. So what happens is now remember, this is Beatrix Potter's. It's based on Beatrix Potter's famous Peter Rabbit, which is I will tell you, it is a very sweet, sort of wholesome story.
It's a great story.
And of course, they've sort of Tarantino'd it up a little bit. Okay,
oh, big time. I heard
which is so irritating, and that's a whole different issue. I've just written about this. I mean, why do they always have to do this, right? But anyway, so there's this one scene where now it's sort of a generation forward, okay? Mr. McGregor has a son. Mr. McGregor is now plant fertilizer. He is in the ground.
With
and
Peter
Tom,
Rabbit.
his son, has taken over the garden. And Tom, as did Mr. McGregor, wants to kill all the vermin. He considers Peter Rabbit and all these adorable furry creatures to be vermin, and he wants to kill them. So Peter and his furry friends discover that Tom has a food allergy to blackberries. And this is an actual thing. I can't remember the chemical in blackberries, but it is an actual thing. And so they take slingshots and they start hitting him with blackberries, okay? Now, he then he goes into anaphylactic shock, okay? He has like a convulsion and all red in the face. And he manages to shoot himself with an EpiPen and he's fine, okay? So that is the big scene that everybody's upset about. Okay, so parents are saying that it is encouraging food bullying. Didn't know that existed. Okay, and it's
it's allergy shaming. And
they said like sort of like dismissing this as a real problem.
Right.
So okay, I've just written a piece about this, and my point is that I actually think they showed how very serious a food allergy is. I mean, this character almost dies. Okay. But also this idea, so they actually at one point there's a foundation for allergies. Of course there is. Of course there is.
I'm sure they hate you.
Of course they're gonna love me.
Public enemy number one.
They wrote this article and they wrote a letter. I wish I had verbatim what it says, because I'm not going to make it sound as silly as what they actually wrote.
Right.
But they're like, it seems like the bunny wants to kill the man, which is like a bad image for children. And I'm like,
after you read it, it's like Not the Onion.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't believe it's real.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, so do they not know about the long tradition of cartoon characters trying to kill each other?
Right.
I mean, like, this is like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Like, this is
Bugs Bunny.
This is sort of a long tradition of this, and so, but what the mistake Sony made, what I say in my piece, is that they tried to update the mode of death, which is something very current that people deal with, and so everybody's going to find a reason to get upset. So that probably wasn't smart.
Well, also apologizing.
Of course they apologize.
Because you can pretty
Sony
much,
Studios.
You can get on Facebook right now and write a long screed, and large corporations worldwide
will roll over.
Will apologize to you.
Yeah, totally.
How have corporations gotten so gutless?
Oh well, that's happened. That's been happening for years.
But it's just But
I mean, we're in a society of a constant, perpetual outrage, right?
Yeah,
outrage. And again, like the scene in question, though, what is so interesting to me is that I just don't view this as, first of all, also let's just just for argument's sake, let's think about this whole, like, the bunny was trying to kill. Well, the man was trying to kill the bunny. Okay. I mean, so this could be a case of self-defense, right? I feel like they don't quite understand the story here. Right. It's not like Tom's just sitting there on his porch, reading a book, having some iced tea, and then these bunnies come up with slingshots and try to kill him with these blackberries. He's actually trying to kill the bunnies. So it seems like this is a bit of an even playing field. So anyway, but again, the reaction was ridiculous. I think people need to calm down a little bit about this, as they do many issues that they're upset about.
But it's just one of those things, you guys are both parents. I'm not a parent, but it just seems like you get these parents, their kid has a food allergy. I'm sorry your kid has a food allergy. I'm sorry. But it's like, my child has a food allergy, and I have to be so offended and so protective, and so people just go so overboard. Listen, so avoid the snacks, and but it doesn't have to. People go so overboard on their personal mission.
Well, I want to say very, very clearly here. I have some friends. I actually talked to a friend last night about it. I think she disagrees with my point, because she thinks, and she's right. Food allergies are very serious. If you are. I think there's a certain amount of terror that goes along with having a child with food allergy, that there are a lot of ingredients, particularly nuts. There are a lot of factories that might produce two things, and so there might be residual nuts in something, and you got to look at the label now, and it says this was processed in a plant that also processes peanuts. I mean, that's a nightmare, and you worry about your kid going to someone's party and being given something that they're allergic to. So I don't mean to dismiss this, but again, this is a 7-second, or probably more than that, 2-minute scene in a movie, and a whole major studio apologizes and everybody's freaking out. I mean, you simply have a conversation with your kid. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're living in the modern world, your kid is probably going to be exposed or see some disturbing things, right? And
much more than when we were kids.
And it's up to you as a parent to say, you know what, that wasn't a great scene. And move on.
Teachable moment. Awareness of allergies.
Geez, the boycotting and the, is a little bit much. And again, but I sort of have a disagreement fundamentally with these parents who are suggesting that they made light of food allergy. That scene clearly shows the guy about to die.
But even if they did, I mean, we just got to the point. We can't make jokes about things. We can't make light of things.
It's like what Bill Murray said this week. Bill Murray said in an I don't know who was being interviewed. CNBC. And he said, comedy's really hard now because everyone's offended. I mean, pretty soon you're going to have a very boring movie with a bunny. And I said this in my piece too, a lot of cartoons now have sort of softened, it's like, let's be nice to fish and to, furry animals, and let's,
we can't give sticks of dynamite to the mouse anymore.
I mean, when you look at the cartoons we grew up with, so I said, like, it's better to let's stick to the old methods of killing people, right? Throw them off a cliff,
Anvil,
hit them with a bus,
sledgehammer.
Get a sledgehammer. Right?
Dynamite's the best.
Clearly better. So, I mean, can you imagine these people watching The Roadrunner? It's just,
We turned out okay. We have our issues. I'm looking at you, John Pop.
Right, we're both looking at you.
I got a sledgehammer right here for you, pal.
But it just goes to the thing. It's just like, I look at the Olympics right now, and I look at Hollywood, and it just, everything, the fun is taken out of everything. Everything has to suck. Everything has to have a problem. Like, the other thing about movies, there's, I don't know much about it because it's Amy Schumer, and I could possibly care less about her. But apparently she's in a movie about, like,
where she hits her head and
an
feels
ugly
beautiful.
girl or something like that. And, like, feminists are mad because, she's Hollywood ugly. She's not real life ugly, or some nonsense like that. It's every time you turn around.
She's not
conventional ugly. She's
like ugly compared to Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah,
I mean, she's so awful.
She's a Topeka 9 or whatever. Whatever people say these days. I don't know.
Right.
But it's like every time you turn around, everything in pop culture has to have some sort of
message,
angle, and a message. And this person's angry about it, and she's got to apologize. I mean, it's gotten to the point where feminists are mad at Amy Schumer. I know. I hate that. I'm not going to be I will never be the person to defend Amy Schumer. But it's just, it goes to you just like everything. Just like you just want to just stay at home and just
Amy
not
Schumer
interact.
Herself, one thing I did see a good sort of point is Amy Schumer got angry at a women's magazine for calling her plus size. Then she's in a movie where she's portraying a woman who is average and she's beautiful. I think she is a beautiful woman, and she is portraying a woman who's not beautiful for being completely normal looking. And so it is funny. I mean, I will say I have enjoyed watching these different groups eating each other alive. They really are. And
there was an article yesterday that the Black Panther movie, which which some people
doesn't have
wrote.
an LGBT, yeah.
Yeah, if you give it a bad review, you're a racist. I saw that in many places.
Of course.
But there was this argument that they had the chance to talk about LGBT issues in it. It's like it's never enough.
Never
ever.
enough. Never enough. Never
But
enough.
yeah, you joke about the left eating itself, but how much is left on the plate?
I've been watching a debate on Twitter about whether food should just be is a right. Food is a right, right? And I'm like, has anybody looked at Venezuela? Because that's not working out so well. Because they're talking about state control of the food supply.
Right.
Like we should just ensure that everyone had
yeah.
markets. Like,
That'll work well.
Yeah, it doesn't work well. And it's interesting to watch sort of these people sort of ignore the economic realities that are hard to miss, and also contradict themselves. Get angry at something, and then a couple weeks later get angry at a totally different issue. It's very hard to track them and to track their sort of philosophy on things. But again, it is fun to watch them. Sort of this infighting is really kind of delicious.
There was this. I saw this article today. This tweet about this study now that more and more millennials they hate capitalism. And they like places like Venezuela because, they don't do socialism.
Very Mad Max.
They don't do it socialism right. If they did it socialism the right way.
But it hasn't really been tried.
Yeah, it hasn't been tried.
If you just get this right, it'll be fine.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
You see all these millennials now saying capitalism is bad. Sure, it had its faults, but how do you look at Venezuela and not think anything negative?
It's drugs.
Drugs.
They're high. Yeah, that's the only explanation I can come up with.
All right, so John has a daughter. Julie, you have sons. So this we're the Me Too movement and all this stuff about yes and no. So this story, this Utah elementary school says students have to say yes when asked to dance at a Valentine's Day party. This is like sixth grade, something like that.
Has this guy heard of #MeToo?
Yeah, I mean, what a tone deaf message right now, right?
That dude is not woke. Okay, he is not.
He's so unwoke.
He is like he's like my dad. He has no idea what's going on in the world.
I guarantee he gave Black Panther a bad review.
Exactly.
He's so unwoke.
Wow, that guy.
But that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that is bad. Look, I mean, my children, tonight, of course, I'm always last minute on these stupid Valentine's Day cards, and I end up at Hallmark, and my boys can only choose between girl Valentines, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
They're
right?
all written in Mandarin.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing left.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm never together on this stuff. Anyway, so, but my kids were told that if they want to do Valentine's, they have to give it to every kid in the class. Mm-hmm. It's like Potemkin's village. I mean, they can't stand some of the kids in their class. Sorry. I mean, my kids, look, my kids are normal. They have friends, and there are some kids that aren't so nice to them, and they don't want to give this kid a Valentine's Day.
But it's weird because, like I said, I'm not a parent, I don't deal with this, but, parents who say that, yes, of course you have to do it. These parents all hate all these other parents too.
I know,
they're the biggest
totally.
hypocrites. Like, do the parents that give a Valentine to everyone at work or something?
No, I know.
It's
so
nonsense.
we're actually, for one of my children, we're going to drive around and deliver, because on the school grounds, you are not allowed to give a Valentine unless it's to the whole class. So we're going to do that after school. My other son has decided he just doesn't want to participate because he's too cool, which I'm like, yes.
But also, just to interrupt for a second, doesn't that, when we're talking this Me Too movement right now, but aren't you telling all girls that you have to like all the boys?
Accept Valentine.
Telling all boys that all the girls will like you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many weird messages going on there.
Well, my daughter is 16, and I can tell you the dynamics that go on with boys and girls. Maybe this guy's just doing this to mess with the kids, because that would so freak them out. If that were to happen, she would never go to the dance.
Right.
Because she doesn't want. No.
Well, I also want to. I won't play a little bit of devil's advocate. Look, there are some mean kids, right? And so I can imagine the idea of like there being one awkward kid. Maybe he's autistic. Maybe he's on the spectrum. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of friends, right? Maybe he for whatever reason. Maybe he doesn't speak English, something like this. And so everyone else gets a card and he doesn't. So I can understand to some degree. Teachers really do struggle with this bullying thing, and they try to figure out. They kind of how do we figure this out? Oh, I know. We'll make everyone say yes. Or we'll make, to a dance, or we'll make everyone give a Valentine's Day card. So I do sympathize a little bit with school administrators on this front. I've experienced I as a parent and my children have experienced kind of some awkward moments at school, and it is tough. And so I think that there's probably no good solution in some ways. Sometimes the yes at a school dance is insane.
Yeah.
Like there's no arguing that. But giving the Valentine's Day cards, I just think it sort of avoids a lot of hurt feelings. But to some, but then you get into the question of hurt feelings are a part of childhood. Anyway, we can go on and on. I know we can go on and on about this, but
it just makes me think, Cameron. Back in the day when I was DJing, I used to do a lot of school parties, and that's the teachers would back then do the same thing. They'd line them all up, boys on one side, literally, and girls on the other side. I was doing it in private school years ago, and make them all go dance with each other. If you want to see the level of ooginess and comfortability going way up.
The tip, the fingers on the shoulders, which is, I remember that. My husband and I still dance that way.
Well, there's another report. This is from CBS New York. Schools considering banning children from having best friends.
Right. Oh, I've seen these too.
What?
Yeah. I mean, this is. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of these stories.
To encourage children to broaden their friendship circles and become more inclusive.
This is the problem. And liberals hate it when conservatives say this kind of stuff, but it all goes back to parenting. Look, if you don't tell your child that let's say my kids came home and we were doing the Valentines, and my youngest said, I want to give all these Valentines, but these two people. I would say no. That's not nice, right? That's not nice. Maybe, and I might say, just sign your name. Like, don't put anything super nice. Maybe leave off that piece of candy or something, right? Accidentally, it fell off. I think it is important that parents explain that there is a proper way to treat other people, and that is falling off. And so schools, again, I have some sympathy for them. They are forced because we are not teaching the golden rule and basic kindness anymore. Parents are not doing that. It's unbelievable. I see this at my school. I see it. I see my parents just kind of turn a blind eye to when their children. I had an incident at the playground where these kids were using, I couldn't believe the language. And there are parents there, and they just acted like they didn't hear it. So when you don't police your own children, it forces schools to do these completely off-the-wall things.
And we see situation, I've seen it also not only at school with the parents, but at our church, where these kids and the parents are right there, are engaging in just crazy activity, and it's like, that's your child.
Yeah.
Please
could you
control them.
It's time to
you don't have to publicly
get up from the table
spank them, but tell them to stop.
Right.
I think, Julie, literally, Cameron, Julie, people don't realize you're the parent. They're the child. You're in charge.
We've had many. My husband and I have been witness to multiple conversations from parents. I remember once talking about how we have limits on their screen time, and I remember a parent actually saying to me, I just wouldn't even know how to say no.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's awful.
I need vodka right now.
Well,
what?
On a more serious note, we're talking about bullying stuff. With so much stuff going on, we have very strict controls. My daughter, doesn't do social, and she's a lot. The point is, they just don't say no. Your kid does not. A 10-year-old kid doesn't have to have an Instagram account or Snapchat.
I know. I hear about these online bullying things, and I'm like, why are they online?
Yeah.
Why do they have an account? And we could go on and on about this, but I really do think a lot of these things come back to parenting. This is an uncomfortable conversation to have. Teachers are being assaulted in the classroom. You have a major problem in some of these very schools with a very families that aren't together, single mothers, that kind of stuff, that are having, real trouble with disciplining children in these schools. And nobody talks about it because it's uncomfortable. Because really, these are fractured families, and nobody wants to, make any kind of assumptions there.
All right, so to that end, as we get close to wrapping up here, Julie, so this is out of Philadelphia Pop. Their principal is offering kids $100 not to fight. They say it's working there, but this isn't just a Philly thing. This could be any liberal city in the country, because
it's like a gun buyback. It's like a fight payoff.
But should we be paying kids not to fight?
I'm a big believer in bribing children. I actually have no problem with that.
You doing it? Right?
Yeah. I mean,
is this
yes.
The school's job?
Again, I have sympathy. This principal is probably at his wit's end. He's like, how do I? Parents are not. Yes. What I would like to see is fine. You're going to have a program like this. I also want to see a program of talking to parents, and maybe starting to engage with the parents more and find out what in the heck is going on, that we have such a fighting problem that we're offering to pay kids.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a dual track here. Oftentimes it's only one thing. And so then the problem just perpetuates, and then you have these kids go off and have kids, and they parent in the same way. And so, there needs to be more engagement with parents.
I just want to know what budget does that come? $100.
I know.
mean, kids are smart.
Yeah.
I won't fight. Give me my $100. And
Right.
it's like, how often can you come back and get that replenished?
Right, exactly.
It's a good gig.
Yep.
Especially in Philly. I mean,
Exactly.
come on.
All right, before we let you go, Julie, you saw the other day, you and our friend Lenore Skenazy were on a local TV station here in Washington, and she's got the Let Grow movement,
Yeah.
which is the complete antidote to the nanny
absolutely
state. Talk about what you guys were talking about.
Well, Lenore Skenazy, who's the founder of the Free Range Kids movement, just teamed up with Jonathan Haidt to start the Let Grow movement, which it tries to, the Let Grow movement, an organization reaches out to schools. The free range parent movement really reached out to parents. Give your kids more freedom, trust them when they take risks and make decisions. It's good for them. It teaches them they mature. Well, Let Grow actually reaches out to schools, and it tries to get schools to do things like once a week, a teacher will say, go home and tell your mom you want to do something on your own. Go get a loaf of bread, walk to school, ride your bike with nobody watching you, stay at the park and play, and your mom goes home. These kinds of things. It's putting the control with the children to ask for more freedom, but also gets the schools to actually assign it. And there's a lot of, what Lenore and I talked about on this show was there's a lot of reassurance when other people are doing this stuff. It is very hard to be a free range parent when you're the only one, right? And so this not only gets the support of the schools, it gets other parents thinking about this. And then when it's assigned, the parents feel like, oh gosh, the school says this is okay. Maybe it's okay. Right. So then they do it. Then the kids do it once, and then maybe parents will say, you know what, Timmy, you already walked to the park once. Why don't you do it again? It's a really fantastic model. I'm really excited.
And it's in 2018, the fact that this is a radical notion in itself is just so mind blowing.
Right.
But that's for another day.
They're going to walk to the park so they can use bad language.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Watch
fight,
your mouth,
and
kid.
fight and throw blackberries at each other.
Whatever happened to don't make me come over there?
Yeah, we almost made the scolds forget that we had criticized the allergy issue.
That's
So
all right.
now you had to remind them again.
It's pissing off scolds. I get paid for that all day.
Julie Gunlock, thank you so much. How do people learn more about where you write and where you are?
Well, I write for a bunch of different outlets,
Right.
but everything's at IWF.org, the Independent Women's Forum.
Perfect. Julie,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having
Cameron,
me.
thank you.
Thank you.